Hey, everybody, welcome to the 2025 MGA Championship Preview Show presented by Dewars. I'm Shane Bacon, joined by Chris Gaffney, Director of Championships for the MGA. And as we get set to talk about some of the great events in 2025, I wanted to highlight first the events in 2024 because it feels like we just ran through those and the golf courses are worth talking about.
It was a quick season. 2024 was really a great year for us, and we're here at Sunningdale Country Club, who will be highlighted later in the show, but they hosted our Met Junior Championship in 2024. And you really look at some of the major sites, and we started the year with Nassau Country Club in back-to-back weeks, hosting both the Women's Met Amateur, followed by the Ike Championship, and Ike Championship's the first men's major of the year, and from there we had Somerset Hills for the second men's major, the Met Amateur, and both Nassau and Somerset Hills provided a firm, fast test for all the competitors in the field.
Always excited to see how the courses are set up, obviously weather dependent, but Nassau played extremely tough, and you think about Somerset playing the way it played. How about Weburn in the Met Open?
Weburn had a little bit of bad luck before the Met Open, getting 6-7 inches of rain on the golf course, but you would have never known it by the time the tournament was going. They really did an unbelievable job getting the course ready and provided what many players referred to as a true US Open test with some challenging rough, exceptional conditioning, and just a perfect venue for our marquee championship.
And one of the more competitive events that we see each and every year on the calendar, the Mid-Am. I know we'll talk about some changes as we get into 2025, but 2024 showcased some great golf on a very unique golf course.
It did, and Manasquan River hosted their first multi-day championship for the MGA last year and could not have been a better host. The course provides just a really unique experience where you roll through these hills on the front nine and then you get right by the water on the back nine on a very wind-exposed flat portion of the golf course. And we saw great golf out there last year, and wind provided a tough test for the players.
We're going to get into MGA events and MGA majors, but another big part of what you guys do are the USGA championships. And I know last year, first time hosting one incredible event that the USGA has put on.
It was, and USGA qualifying is one of the biggest things that we do. We host numerous ones throughout the Met area, and last year we were one of just a few associations in the country to host a US Adaptive Open qualifier. So we partnered with Haworth Country Club. They just put on an exceptional show, from hospitality to golf course conditioning to just player receptivity. It couldn't have been better, and really excited to say that we'll be back at Haworth Country Club to once again conduct an adaptive qualifier, which will kick off our season this year.
And every golfer has a dream of maybe one day qualifying for US Open. I mean, that's the dream of any great amateur or any professional golfer, no matter if you're playing on the PGA Tour, if you're playing in terms of mini tours. How about final stage US Open qualifying this season?
Final stage will be back at Canoe Brook Country Club, so it's the last of a 3-year rotation for the longest day in golf. And US Open final stage always just turns out some really special storylines. You look back at last year with Max Greiserman qualifying for the US Open and kind of spearheading an exceptional season for him, and excited to see who it is this year, whether it's some tried and true professionals or some amateurs finding lightning in a bottle for the day.
US Amateur qualifying changed last year. It used to be one day you got through, you got into the US Amateur. It switched a little bit to like what we see with the US Open, US Amateur final qualifying in 2025.
It did, and the only difference is the final qualifier is 18 holes for the US Amateur. So for that final qualifier, we head to the Whippoorwill Club up in Armonk, New York.
And going from qualifiers to the big show, the 4-ball close to home this year.
4-ball is going to be at Plainfield Country Club, and Echo Lake will co-host alongside them. In the last handful of years, we've had the Met Junior at Echo Lake. We've had the Met Amateur at Plainfield. Really familiar with those clubs. They're great supporters of amateur golf, and I think players are going to really enjoy both courses for that championship.
So we're talking about amateur golf getting more competitive. I feel like senior golf is getting more competitive. I know it's a big part of what you guys do. Walk us through the senior events in 2025.
So the Senior Open Championship is really one of our biggest ones, follows right after the Met Open, and we're headed to Fairview Country Club, which is pretty close by to where we are right now, right on the border of Connecticut, Greenwich. And the Senior Open field, like you said, it gets better every year, 50 and older for that. And I think each year there's a surprising couple guys who you can't believe they're 50 and competing in the championship. But with that said, last year we saw longtime great senior competitor Jim McGovern win over Trevor Randolph, an amateur, in a playoff. And as we head to Fairview this year, Sean Powers, the head professional there, one of the top seniors in the area, won the championship back in 2019. He'll certainly be a player to watch.
You think he's going to be the favorite is what you're telling me?
He's the favorite right now.
Watch out for him. Hey, 50-year-old, stop hitting so far. It's getting embarrassing for us that still think we can move it. the junior side of things is always exciting to watch. There's always some changes. I knew the Carter Cup last year played at Wingfoot, back to Baltusrol this season.
Yeah, we moved off of Baltusrol last year because the upper course was being restored by Gil Hans. So the juniors will be some of the first players to compete back on that upper course. They'll play both the upper and lower. And while that's some exciting news, our biggest news for this year is the introduction of a girls division for the Carter Cup. The girls, boys will be playing alongside each other. We'll have two champions identified at the end of the day and just continue to really enhance this Carter Cup legacy in the Met area.
And how about the Met Junior sponsored by MetLife? Going to a golf course, one of my favorite on Long Island, but it's maybe a golf course that gets a little lost considering its neighbors.
They are certainly surrounded by some of the best courses in the area, but they are right in that category when you get out there and see it. Southampton Golf Club, a Seth Rayner design, provides just a thrilling venue for both stroke play and match play, especially with the juniors, how far they hit it. They can really take on the golf course, find ways to score out there. So excited to go to Southampton, and a big year for them. They'll be celebrating their centennial in 2025. So just a really big year for the Met Junior there.
And a big year last year with Jack Chung. I mean, the kid can play some serious golf, defending champion there at the Met Junior. Excited to kind of see what he can do.
Yeah, it's great to have him back. And the runner-up also, Liam Pasternak. They were 1 and 2 in the Junior Player of the Year race. Jack was co-winner for the Carter Cup, won the Met Junior. Really excited to see what he does this upcoming season after having an absolutely breakout year in 2024.
So excited changes on the junior side. Next up, the MGA Majors. All right, Chris, time for MGA major golf courses for 2025. I want to start with the Ike. We saw some unbelievable play last season, a new golf course this season, exciting stuff.
It is, and we're headed to Hamilton Farm Golf Club in New Jersey for the Ike Championship. You mentioned last year in a final round at Nassau, our eventual champion Chen, who plays out of St. John's, shot a 65 at Nassau, while the rest of the field had a hard time with that golf course. And really, I think, unarguably the best round of the entire season we saw at the Ike. And as we head to Hamilton Farm, it'll be a tough test for the players. There's plenty of yardage out there. It is a big golf course. It'll be a tough walk and a lot of golf with 54 holes in 2 days.
Better drive the ball well if you don't have any chance there. From the Ike to the women's Met Amateur, going to be at Sunnydale this year. Saw Sunnydale part of the schedule last year, and some formatting changes for this event this year.
Sunnydale is hosting another big event for us this upcoming season. It's one of the reasons we're here. Not only excited to announce that Sunnydale will be hosting, but also a long-term vision being realized this year of enhancing the format of the women's Met Amateur. We moved to a 54-hole championship conducted over 2 days, and it'll be a World Amateur Golf Rankings event in 2025.
And a shout out, by the way, to the 2024 Women's Player of the Year. I know a 3-time winner of this event, one of the great players in the Northeast.
She is. Ina Kim Shad's one of the top players in the area, a USGA champion, and no stranger to winning this championship.
When I think about the Met Am, I mean, there's the U.S. Amateur and there's the Western Amateur. I mean, the Met Am is one of the great events in our country. I know it's y'all's oldest event. It's at a golf course that you guys haven't visited in a long time in terms of MGA Major Championship golf. Excited to be back there.
The Met Am is our oldest event, one we put a lot of time and effort into to make sure it continues to be so special, and headed to Old Oaks for the championship for the first time. Really excited to bring it there, but they're no stranger to major golf, hosting the U.S. Open final stage alongside Century in the years that we're not at Canoe Brook. So they've seen the best players in the world. They've competed out there, and a handful of the players in the field will be familiar with the golf course because of that.
I think, and something to remind people at home, is if you win the Met Am, you now get into the U.S. Amateur Championship, which I think is a really cool change in terms of what the USGA does for these great amateur events, because it's just as difficult to win the Met Am as it is to qualify in to U.S. Amateur.
It is so difficult to win these championships, and a lot of credit to the USGA for executing on this vision to get state and regional amateur champions exempt into the championship proper. And when we look back at Somerset Hills, Dante Grapuso, our champion, first one to do it. He punched his ticket to the USAM, was there about 2 weeks later, right after winning. So really cool to see that, and I think as that continues, once again, we hope to see another player punch their ticket for the USAM and represent the MGA as the Met Amateur champion at the US Amateur.
The Met Open, presented by Callaway, you're talking about going to one of the courses that is the MGA.
We are. We're headed to the Meadowbrook Club, who's a founding member of the MGA. They've hosted every one of our major championships, and they just continue to support golf, the MGA endeavors through every aspect of the club. So couldn't be more excited to bring our biggest championship there this year.
And you were mentioning to me, I'd never played the golf course before. I was asking a little bit about Meadowbrook, and you were saying a lot of dog legs, got to move the ball both ways off the tee, big green complexes, but can be very difficult if you get yourself in the wrong spot.
Absolutely. And the green complexes are always one to highlight at Meadowbrook. It's rare to find a golf course, especially on Long Island in the Met area, with such massive green complexes. And there's certainly a lot of times where you end up hitting a green and you realize you have 100 feet to putt, and you might have been better off being just off the green. And I think you're going to have players who hit 16 greens in a round and don't come out with a great score. And I think that provides a good mental test for these players. And you mentioned the dog legs. I think players with distance can certainly take advantage of it, cut some corners, but you're going to have to trust those lines and really be confident in what you're doing.
Speaking of course knowledge, the staff at Meadowbrook, very, very good. I think it's the staff you don't want to play in a match. They're going to be primed and ready.
They are, and you look at the top with Matt Dobbins, who's the head professional at Meadowbrook. He's a past Met Open champion, defending Long Island Open champion. He's put together just an impressive staff of assistant professionals who are great golfers. And right behind him is our 2023 champion Dylan Newman, who's one of the best players in the area, has had 2 really good years. So when you look at who you expect to be at the top of the leaderboard, certainly somebody with Meadowbrook Club in their name, and Matt Dobbins, Dylan Newman, 2 of the best there is.
The mid-amateur at Laurel Links this year, I know we want to talk about the golf course, but I want to talk about a little change with the mid-amateur for 2025.
We're making a pretty significant change. And if you look back to the start of the mid-amateur, it started as a 35 and over event. That went to 30 a handful of years back. And one thing we've been working a lot on is just unifying alignment with what the USGA does. So you look at our senior amateur, our senior open, our junior, all these events are in lockstep with USGA eligibility. Our mid-am is the one that has been different. They're 25, we're 30. And in 2025, really to keep that alignment going, we're going to adjust the mid-am eligibility down to 25 years of age and older.
Just what a 41-year-old wants to hear. Let's make it younger and get those 25-year-olds in there that can beat me as well. Chris, as we wrap up 2025, a couple of great events on the schedule as well. The Farrell at Stanwich, 4th playing of that event. Really one of my favorite weeks to play competitive golf because you got such a great mix in terms of competitors and obviously at an unbelievable golf course.
It's hard to believe it's the 4th playing of the invitational already, the Farrell at the Stanwich Club. And one of the unique things with the event, it's a national invitational for us. You have the women's mid-am, the men's mid-am, and a men's senior division. So 3 champions crowned at the Stanwich Club, and yeah, excited to keep this great invitational going.
Great event. They do an exquisite job in terms of hosting the players, making you feel like you're a part of the club that week. How about the Kerry Cup? I think this is the year we go across the pond. Is that right?
We do, and you go back to 2023, the Team MGA was successful at Wingfoot Golf Club, winning the Kerry Cup. So following up Wingfoot, we're headed to Port Marnock Golf Club right outside of Dublin, an exceptional links course. They've hosted Walker Cups, they've hosted Irish Opens, so couldn't have a better venue for the top men and women in the Met area to go and compete.
Yeah, who's who event for sure when you look at that. And as we wrap things up, we'll hit on a couple more events. We've still got some left to mention, and we'll start with the Pub Links.
We do, and the Pub Links Championship is one we take a lot of pride in, one of the oldest Pub Links in the country. We're headed to New Jersey for that one to be played at Hominy Hill Golf Course once again. And you look from there, we also have the MetLife Boys Championship. It's a match play only championship, heads up to Connecticut at Reading Country Club. And then to highlight another one of those kind of age division events, the Senior Masters for golfers 65 and older will be conducted at Anglebrook.
And how about some of the team events in 2025?
Yeah, we have a handful of team events, and you look at the Father and Son, which is a historic event for us. Some of the best players have won that. We're headed to Harrison Meadows Country Club for the Father and Son, and then a newer event on our schedule, the Parent and Child. We're going to be over at New Jersey National for that championship. Really different setup where fathers, sons, mothers, daughters can all compete together in that championship. And then finally close it out with the Mixed Pinehurst, which will be at Cold Spring Country Club on Long Island.
So many great championships on the schedule, as it feels like there always are when you look at the MGA and what they provide in terms of championship golf. A reminder, registration opens March 3rd, so keep the website's popping in early March to get set for whatever you're going to play in this year. A big thanks to Chris, a big thanks to everybody at the MGA for always doing an exceptional job. I'm Shane Bacon, and we thank you for watching the MGA Championship Preview Show presented by Dewars.